Hey everybody, today we are going to tackle our third baking method, which is the foaming method. The foaming method kind of breaks down into two parts. There's single stage and two stage. Today we're going to work with just the single stage, but both involve the aeration of eggs to create most of the rise and the lift in your product. Today we're going to make an angel food cake, which is a single stage, one stage foaming method. So you're just using egg whites. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen a meringue, the top of a lemon meringue pie, a meringue cookie. What we're gonna do is kind of starting out making a meringue. You whip those egg whites so they create this really fluffy structure. And this cake actually uses no other leavening and a very, very small amount of flour. So you're really getting that structure from egg. The egg is your stabilizer in this. So it's super fun to make and really easy and a really delicious cake and a great spring summer cake. So hopefully it's timely. So we will get going. Okay, something that is very important when you're making a foamed cake or foamed item is that you have your mise en place set up all ahead of time. Mise en place is really important because once this batter, there's so much aeration happening that once the batter is made, you're trying to get it in the oven as quickly as you can so that you're not losing any of that rise that you've created. So right here I have my mise en place for this angel food cake. I have egg whites that are at room temperature. This is about 10 egg whites. And you really need everything to be at room temperature to get that proper aeration. If it's too cold or too warm, it doesn't work out as well. So I just left these, separated my eggs and left these out for, a couple hours, 2 hours or something like that, and they should be good to go. Also, when I whip the eggs and make the meringue, I'll be adding a little bit of salt and what is called cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is a byproduct of winemaking, actually. It's crystals that come off of, acid crystals that come off of the inside of wine barrels. And what it does is really help stabilize that meringue so that it doesn't start to break down and get liquidy. So my first step is going to be, another thing I have here is this recipe uses cake flour instead of all-purpose flour. Cake flour is just a version of flour that has the lowest protein content. It's between 5 and 8%. There's a sheet in your packet that kind of discusses all the different kinds of flours and what the differences are. Cake flour it's also bleached, so it's got lower gluten, so you get a more tender product, and then the bleaching helps it absorb more of your liquefiers, so that helps with the tenderness of the crumb too. So this is also sifted, because we're looking for that aeration. We're looking to build that, fluffy fluffiness as much as we can. So this has been sifted, the 1 1/3 cup of flour and a 1/2 cup of sugar has been sifted 4 times. So that's pretty good. Then we have our vanilla, and then this has a little bit of lemon zest flavoring, and we have the rest of our sugar. So what I'm gonna do first is get my mixer going, and we're gonna put in all of our egg whites. And we're gonna put in our salt and cream of tartar. And we're just going to put this with the whisk. You could use a hand mixer for this also. We're gonna beat this for about 1 minute on high speed, and it's gonna start to get kind of foamy at first, and then it'll start to get what's called medium firm peaks. So I will show you what that's like. Okay, so now we've whipped this up a little bit. So I'll lift this up, and you can see there's kind of a foaminess on the edge. There's a foaminess on the edge there around the outside, and you can see the inside has formed what they call medium stiff peaks, which means if you kind of put your whisk in it, it'll hold a peak but kind of flop over on the side a little bit. So we're gonna put this back on the mixer, and then the next stage, the next thing that we're gonna do is turn the mixer back on high. And then as it's running, we're gonna kind of drizzle in our sugar. This is 1.5 cups of sugar. So We're gonna drizzle in our sugar, and as it's whipping, it's gonna create a really thick, really kind of shiny meringue that's real stable. So that's what we're looking for here. So let's do that. Okay, so we are getting very thick and shiny. What I'm gonna do is kind of use my spatula, and you can see this is a really thick kind of marshmallowy mixture. I'm just gonna kind of scrape around to make sure that the stuff that's on the outside is getting in. So we're gonna whisk that for maybe just like 1 or 2 minutes more. See if we can get it to the right place. Okay, now we are going to add in our lemon zest. We'll put this just to whisk for a second, just to whisk in our lemon zest and then a bit of vanilla. So I'll just put this kind of a little lower. It smells so good. Okay, so we have this mixed in, and oh my gosh, I just think this is the prettiest thing ever. So we have our super stiff peaks. You know, you can take a big bunch of it and it doesn't fall apart. It's shiny, it smells beautiful. So let's get everything off our mixer here. And then what we're gonna do is transfer this to a big bowl. You want a big size bowl so you have a lot of room to work here. I'm gonna take my spatula, just put all this lusciousness in here. I don't know why I love the look of a meringue so much, but I do. It's just like summer clouds, and I don't know, I love it. So let's get that in there. And you don't want to do anything to be pushing anything down. You want to be real gentle and keep all this loft that you've gotten in here. Okay. That smells amazing with the lemon. Okay. Let's do this guy. So then, the only thing we have to do is we're going to put in our flour in 3 batches, and we're gonna fold it in, which means you're not stirring it, you're kind of like folding it, the mixture over itself to incorporate this, because we don't wanna do anything to mush our stuff down. So we'll just sprinkle some of this over. And we'll do this in 3 batches. Okay, so now we have all of our flour kind of incorporated in there. It's okay if there are little spots where it's a little dry, but you don't want big streaks where it's dry. So then we're gonna take our angel food cake pan. This is an angel food cake pan, and it's made in this shape because, you know, you have all this lift here, and you wanna get it to come as far up as it can. So having this tube in the middle helps distribute the heat evenly, but it also gives it another place to kind of latch on and pull up as it rises, as it bakes. So an angel food cake pan is maybe the only pan in baking that there's no greasing or flouring, nothing like that. It's just the pan. You want it to kind of grab onto these sides and rise up the top. So we are going to very carefully kind of scoot our fluffy batter, which really just looks like marshmallow at this point. I'll try to get it in here as evenly as we can. fill in everywhere so that we can get it kind of even. And then without pushing down on it, you just kind of want to smooth out the top a little bit. So just scoot it around so that the top is kind of even, and you're scooting the batter around so it can fall into the holes without smushing it down. Okay, I think that looks pretty even. Get all of that batter off of there. Okay, and we have our oven preheated to 350, and we are going to bake it in this pan for 35 to 40 minutes. And it's ready when we push down on it and it kind of springs back a little bit to the touch. If it keeps your fingerprint, it's not done yet, but it should be 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, here we have our angel food cake out of the oven, and it looks amazing. You can see from when we filled it up how much more it's risen in baking. So you can imagine how fluffy it is on the inside. It has a nice kind of like the sugar in it makes this nice crispy crust, and it springs back when I poke it, so it should be good to go. So another important thing about angel food cakes is you want to cool them upside down. So some of the angel food cake pans even have little feet along the outside, so you can just set it down. But mine does not. So what I'm going to do is I found a kind of narrow jar of jalapenos in my pantry, and I'm just going to set this upside down on top of here to cool off. It won't fall out, don't worry, because remember you haven't greased it, so it's still kind of hanging on. So that's just going to keep it, it's going to cool at that maximum rise that it's got instead of like crashing in the middle. So I'm going to turn them upside down. I'm going to center this on here. And then it's going to cool this way until it's all the way to room temperature. Okay? Okay, so our angel food cake is all cooled off. So I'm going to take them off this little rack. And I have a serrated knife that I'm just going to kind of slide as close as I can around the edge. Ooh, it's so fluffy and nice looking. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same on the inside here, just around this center tube, keeping the knife as close to the pan as I can, so I'm not hacking out the middle of the cake. Okay, and then this pan has a kind of bottom that's not connected, so I can just push through the bottom. It comes right out like this. And then I'm going to take my knife and kind of cut along the bottom under the edge, just sliding my knife again as close as I can. Oh, it smells so good. Ooh, it's hard to do without dropping it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna invert it onto my hand, and then invert it onto my plate. And look at that deliciousness. It's got such a high rise on it, really tender crumb. It smells amazing. This is really good slice. It's the lightest, tastiest cake. It's not heavy or filling or anything. You can serve it with fruit or some sweetened whipped cream. You can melt some jam and drizzle over it. You can do a million things with it. You can put mini chocolate chips in this when you bake it and have a chocolate chip angel food cake. It's just really versatile and super good.